Welcome to Football with Cheese. Happy Tuesday morning, everyone. It's a beautiful day. I just realized I'm going to release this in the afternoon, mid to late afternoon Tuesday, but it's morning for me. Still got my coffee. Got Spidey. So, we had some very interesting games. When I do these recaps and I do my notes, at first I think, okay, this is going to be a 25, 30-minute video. But then I don't do the recap on Mondays anymore. I wait for the Monday night game or games. And then it gives me time to rewatch a game or two and also just watch more highlights and learn more stuff from X, and I add to the notes so that it gets longer and longer. I literally had a game with like 8 sentences of notes, and now it's probably double that. So make sure you're subscribed so you never miss a video. See, I'm not grumpy right now. I cannot promise I won't get grumpy as we go on with certain games. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed. Okay. So I want to touch on the Giants-Eagles Thursday. If you did not see my preview video, I recap that first, then I preview every game. The video comes out every Friday, so make sure you check it out. I will put it in this box at the end. But I wanted to add a few more things because I did rewatch this game. By the way, spell check changed Giants to Giant Ants. I guess I put an extra letter in there. It changed Giants to Giant Ants. So Giant Ants 34, Eagles 17. So yeah, I did rewatch this game mainly to watch Jackson Dart. He's very interesting rookie. If you watch this channel, you know that I was not very high on him coming into the draft. Still not sold on him, but he did have his best game. He has actually gotten better if you watch all his dropbacks. He's gotten better each game, in my opinion, even though the stats may not show that. In his first game, even though they won against the Chargers, he really made some poor throws in that game. Just not turnover-worthy plays, but just some poor throws. But he just looked more confident. He looked more in control. And that's good for the Giants. You need a confident quarterback. A lot of young quarterbacks that don't make it is they lose their confidence. So he just looked more comfortable in the pocket, and he looked more confident than the previous 2 games. And keep in mind, he does not have Malik Nabers, one of the best young receivers in the game. I would say that Malik Nabers is a top 10 receiver in the game. He is that good. And he is out for the season. There was an incident in the medical tent where Jackson Dart went head first into the defender. He's reckless. He's got to stop that. And Brian Daboll, the head coach of the Giants, went in the medical tent. He's not supposed to. It's run by the NFL, not the teams, to make sure it doesn't have concussion for player safety. Apparently Cam Skadden tried to go in there as well, but you can't do that. Absolutely cannot do that. I'm not sure if we'll be fined, but you can tell Daboll does not want to go back to Russell Wilson. One other thing I want to mention, and I cannot believe I didn't think of this before. If you remember 2 years ago, the Eagles' offense collapsed. They started 10-1, looked like the best team in the NFL, and they collapsed. Lost the first playoff game, done. So they fired their coordinator, hired Kellen Moore, who been a coordinator for the Chargers and the Cowboys. And the offense was amazing last year, especially in the NFC title game and Super Bowl. And then he gets the head coaching job of the Saints. And I didn't necessarily love the move because I didn't think Kellen Moore was all that great, but I was probably wrong. Because the offense has not been the same. Under Kevin Patullo, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, he was the passing game coordinator last year for the Eagles. I'm not blaming him for all of it, but the offenses look predictable to me. They rarely throw over the middle. I get it. The more you throw over the middle, more likely you'll be intercepted. Balls get tipped more. So if you throw over the middle a lot, you're going to probably end up with more interceptions than if you throw outside. So it's just a very vanilla offense to me. And I think losing Kellen Moore has had a much bigger impact than really anyone's talking about. Because I never thought about it until yesterday when I was doing my notes. So, all right. Giants 2-4, Eagles 4-2. The Eagles have actually scored 1 fewer point than their opponents, and they have been outgained in all 6 games. They got to figure out what's going on with their offense. Okay. Broncos, Jets, 13-11. Broncos get the win in London. This game was so brutal to watch. Over the years since they've gone to London, Most games have been terrible, low scoring. I don't know if it's the jet lag or they just get bad teams. The Jaguars always seem to play in London. But these games are just not fun for the most part. I don't know how you can play as bad as the Broncos did in one. Oh, I know. You play the Jets. Troy Franklin, the young wide receiver for the Broncos, starts out with a fumble, and they gave the Jets 3 points. Strange sequence before the half. When the Broncos were up 10-6, Jets had the ball. So the Jets try a fake punt, first of all. But they weren't trying to disguise it because they put their starting offensive lineman out. And Breece Hall was in front of the punter. So the Broncos had to know they were faking it. It was 4th and 1, I believe. They got the first down. And then you're thinking, okay, Jets are going to at least try to get down, make it 10-9, get a field goal. But they had a minute to go. They had time to maybe even go for a touchdown despite having 0 timeouts. Then they run the ball with Breece Hall for like 4 or 5 yard gain. Okay. And then still not really trying. Then they get around midfield. It's a 4th and 1. And yeah, you don't want to run up and quickly run a play. Then the Broncos have the ball around midfield. So you want to let the clock run almost all the way down and try a Hail Mary. Well, they don't try anything. They just stand there. They could have snapped it with 5 seconds to go and tried a Hail Mary. They didn't try anything. It's like they were trying to lose. It's like we want to pick first in the draft. Maybe Aaron Glenn's just that bad. But Jets media, Jets fans are not happy with how Aaron Glenn is coaching this team. But anyway, it's third quarter. Jets do get a field goal. It's 10-9. And the Broncos are called for holding in the end zone safety, which gives the Jets 11-10 lead. Here's the problem with that. It was a hold, by the way. Good call. The problem with it was the Jets defensive player should have been called for pass interference. Clear pass interference. Should have been offsetting penalties. So that gave the Jets the lead. And the Jets had not done like anything on offense whatsoever, but somehow had 11 points and had the lead in the fourth quarter. It's just crazy. But this was a terrible matchup for Justin Fields. He took so many sacks in this game. I think 9? You can't take 9 sacks. There was negative 10 yards passing. Because every time you take a sack, that counts passing yards. He had 9 completions, Justin Fields, and 9 sacks. Negative 10 yards passing. The last time that happened was the 90s. I believe it was Ryan Leaf's rookie year with the Chargers. Just throw the ball away. Don't take all those sacks. Terrible matchup. He holds the ball too long. The offensive tackles, young ones, Olafashinu, Armamembe were struggling. And the Broncos pass rush is just incredible. Vance Joseph's done a great job. And Broncos, huge win against Philadelphia. Then they had to go to London, and they had a letdown, but they still won. When you have a letdown game against a bad opponent, you just got to find a way to win, and they did. So they are 4-2. Jets are 0-6. What can I say? They're awful. Just awful, especially on offense. But you can't win a game scoring 11 points. And they were lucky to get to 11 points. Rams 17, Ravens 3. What can I say about this? Oh, my God. This coffee is really yummy. So it seems like the Ravens are playing AAA players, baseball reference. It's bad. The good news is they only allowed 17 points. Coming into the game, they were giving up 35 a game on average. But it was 3-3 at halftime. Boring game, just messy game. Rams do this sometimes. They just take a half off on offense. They just kind of check out. I don't know if it's Sean McVay's play calling, but some games they just don't do anything in the first half. They actually were losing to the Titans at halftime earlier this year, then came alive in the second half. But the Ravens had 2 costly fumbles, and they were 2 of 6 on fourth down, including a 4th and goal. So basically 6 turnovers, 4 turnover and downs, 2 fumbles. You cannot have that. It's amazing the Rams only scored 17 points. But the big news for the Rams is Puka Nacua hurt his foot, and he's going to miss some time. He's definitely going to miss the Jaguars game, I read. Then they have a bye. So hopefully, for the Rams, he only misses that one game. But it's such a shame because he was on pace for about 180 catches, which would shatter the record. If he only misses one game, he should still get the record if he stays healthy the rest of the year and his foot's okay. Trying to find some good news for the Ravens. Maybe they have 5 division games left. If they could sweep those, maybe they can get back in it. But their only hope is the Steelers start losing games. Ravens 1-5, Rams 4-2. Rams in three-way tie for first place in their division. Seahawks 20, Jaguars 12. I knew the Jaguars' luck would run out, but I still picked them. I knew it was dumb. Travis Etienne finally did not have a good game. That definitely hurt. Seahawks got 7 sacks on Trevor Lawrence. Jaguars' offensive line is not very good, and I was wondering when it would finally hurt them. Finally did. And we talked about the Seahawks having underrated pass rush in the preview video. No one talks about their pass rush. It's not as good as Denver's, but it's up there. It's one of the top 5 best pass rush teams in the NFL. Jackson Smith-Njigba, he's just incredible. Incredible player. He should be a Green Bay Packer. The rumor was they were going to take him 13th overall. They were high on him. Everyone had him going to Packers. They took Lucas Van Ness instead. And he falls to pick 20, goes to the Seahawks. Anyway, we talked about it on this channel. Jaguars have been winning by forcing turnovers. And if they didn't, they could be in trouble. Well, I was correct. They were definitely in trouble not forcing turnovers in this game. They had a terrible penalty that should never happen. Travis Hunter lined up offsides on a long touchdown to Brian Thomas Jr. You cannot line up offsides. You got to know where the line of scrimmage is. Just so dumb. He's a rookie, but absolutely terrible. And it just seems like these penalties, either illegal shift or offensive offsides, something like that. We'll talk about a penalty in the Lions-Chiefs game in a second. It always happens on touchdowns or big plays down the field. It's like they don't call them on a 3-yard run. They only call them on big plays. So, I'm not saying the refs trying to help one team or the other. I'm not saying that, but maybe. Okay. Sam Darnold continues to play well. He is definitely an MVP candidate. Unbelievable. He got off to a great start last year as well. We were probably watching the top 2 MVP candidates in the Seahawks-Bucks game last week. A 38-35 game was incredible. It's one of my favorite games I've watched so far this year. Who knew? Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, probably the 2 favorites for the MVP. We're going to talk more about them at the end of the video. But just want to say on the Lights Out podcast with me and Mike, tonight at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, link in the description, I did have Baker as my runner-up MVP to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's not going to win. He got hurt. Just saying. Anyway, one last thing I want to mention. We talked about a lot on this channel. The Seattle running back situation. Kennard Walker is a very good player. He's had some injury issues, but when he's healthy, he's tremendous. And Zach Charbonnet is a bad running back, and they continue to split carries. Not only that, Charbonnet had 2 more carries than Walker in this game. What are you doing, Seahawks? Zach Charbonnet should be inactive. Analytics love Walker, and they think Charbonnet's terrible. Not only that, Walker's averaging 4.7 yards a carry. That's 8th in the NFL. Among qualified running backs, Charbonnet is last, 2.6 yards a carry. Dead last. He should be inactive. You have to have running backs better than him. Just like the Patriots, Ramondre Stevenson, we talked about him because he fumbles all the time, although he didn't fumble this week. He should be inactive. Zach Charbonnet should be on a practice squad. He's not very good. Why are you splitting carries? What's wrong with getting Walker 18, 19 carries? He had 10 in this game. So stupid. Somebody's got to explain that to me. If you're a Seahawks fan watching this, let me know in the comments, what is going on? What is the plan there? Zach Charbonnet probably shouldn't even made the team. He stinks. Anyway, Seahawks, see, I'm getting grumpy. See? I'm getting grumpy. I knew it would happen. Oh, more coffee. Seahawks 4-2, tied for first. They look like a playoff team. They have a good defense, good offense. Jaguars 4-2, 1 game behind the Colts. Honestly, I doubt they make the playoffs. We'll see. I love coffee. Panthers 30, Cowboys 27. The Carolina Panthers, they're 3-0 at home, and the offense has looked very good. They've scored at least 27 points in all 3. They're 0-3 on the road, and they look awful. Bryce Young is a completely different quarterback at home. They got to figure out how to win on the road, or they're not going to make the playoffs. Rico Dowdle. Man, I'm wondering if Chuba Hubbard gets his job back when he's back from injury, because Rico Dowdle has been incredible. 30 carries, 183 yards against his old team who never tried to re-sign him. Incredible. Might be the steal in free agency. Mike will love this, my partner in the Lights Out podcast. Link in the description, tonight at 9. He loves stats. Rico Dowdle has more yards from scrimmage in the last 2 weeks than Saquon Barkley has in 6 games this year. I get it. It's against the Dolphins and Cowboys, two of the worst defenses in the NFL. Maybe historically bad, but still. Tells you a lot about how well Rico Dowdle's playing and how poorly the Eagles' offense and Saquon are playing. Pretty amazing. I wonder what the Cowboys' defense would be like with Micah Parsons. Still bad, but not horrific. But still, it would not be a very good defense. It's just brutal to watch. They cannot get stops when they need it. George Pickens, wide receiver of the Cowboys, continues to play well without CeeDee Lamb in there. They may need to extend him soon. If he hits free agency, someone will pay him. Despite potential off-the-field concerns, New England will pay him. If they pay Stephon Diggs, they will pay George Pickens. Raiders might as well. They could use a receiver. But you know Jerry will wait till the last possible second, and either overpay him or let him go. Last thing I want to mention, Dak Prescott is this year's Joe Burrow. Last year, Joe Burrow threw 43 touchdowns. Probably should have won the MVP, but his defense stunk and they missed the playoffs. That's what's happening with Dak. To me, he should be the MVP right now. But his defense stinks. They can't stop anything, and they're 2-3-1. Both teams, horrific defenses and bad offensive lines, and they're still producing. But I don't think the Cowboys are making the playoffs, so Dak will not win it. Panthers 3-3, Cowboys 2-3-1. Steelers 23, Browns 9. Big thing for the Steelers is they took away the running game. Quinshon Judkins had been playing really well. He did not do much in this game at all. So that put a lot more pressure on Dylan Gabriel. And he's easy to scheme at this point. If you watched his game so far, he's not taking a lot of chances. He's dinking and dunking it, throwing it to tight ends a lot. And the Steelers knew that. So they had a really good game plan, knew it was going to be conservative. Aaron Rodgers played really well. He was not so good the first few games. Got a little worried. They were still winning, but he's been much better. You know, he's getting used to playing with the offensive line and the receivers. But somehow, the Browns did not get much pass rush in this game. That's the most shocking thing to me. I'm not sure what happened because the Browns' pass rush hasn't been as good as the Broncos, but probably the second best in the NFL, in my opinion, coming into this game. And Broderick Jones is not a very good left tackle for the Steelers. Somehow, Myles Garrett didn't go off. But the Steelers' pass rush definitely went off. 6 sacks. Nick Herbig had 2. He continues to be one of the best situational pass rushers. Not every down player, but situational pass rushers in the NFL. Derek Harmon got another sack. He's their first-round pick defensive tackle from Oregon for the Steelers. He missed the first couple games. Their defense has looked much better with him in the lineup. And the Steelers are finally the betting favorites in the division. Finally. They have a 3.5 game lead over Baltimore. And they're barely the betting favorites. I don't understand. But Vegas still thinks the Ravens have a good shot to come back and take the division. But the Steelers are 4-1 now. And to win this division, you probably only need to win 10 games. Because the Bengals aren't winning 10 games. The Browns aren't winning 10 games. And the Ravens already have 5 losses. So even if they get healthy and get everyone back, it's going to be tough to go 10-7. That means they can lose 2 more games the rest of the year. Look at their schedule. It's going to be tough. So the Steelers should absolutely be the betting favorite to win the division. They have a quick turnaround. They're at Cincinnati this Thursday. They should win. You never know. But interesting. So Aaron Rodgers gets a mini bye before the Packers. So the people who did the schedule seem to like Aaron Rodgers. Give him a little help against Green Bay. We'll see what happens. Sunday Night Football. Cannot wait for that one. Week from Sunday. Gotta hope Green Bay doesn't have a letdown at Arizona looking ahead to that game. We'll see. Okay. Patriots 25, Saints 19. Drake May continues to play amazing. He throws such a pretty deep ball. Was hitting guys left and right down the field. We talked about this in the preview. It was a trap game after that huge win against Buffalo on the road. Maybe a season-changing game. Because now they're tied for first place. More at Buffalo in a little bit. I don't want too much into this game, but it was so poorly officiated. They called a offensive pass interference on Stephon Diggs that wasn't offensive pass interference, and the flag came out insanely late. It was like maybe the officials are trying to make sure the Saints cover the spread. They did not. But it took away a long touchdown to Demario Douglas. Ramondre Stevenson, for the Patriots. Did not have a fumble. Finally. So that's good for him. He did have 13 carries for 18 yards, so maybe he should be benched for another reason. I don't know why they do not feature Travion Henderson more. Spencer Rattler, the quarterback of the Saints, only has 1 interception this year. That's insane. Kellen Moore. We just talked about him. He was the Eagles' offensive coordinator last year. Maybe he's doing a great job with Rattler. But I thought Rattler had a chance to throw 20 or 25 interceptions this year. Let's talk about Rattler, though. Big picture. There are people on X saying he's having this great year, that he's the insert quarterback. He's not. He's not the insert quarterback. He's not playing bad, but he's not playing great. I don't even know if he's playing good. He's just not making mistakes. He only has 6 touchdowns in 6 games. Only 1 pick, that's great. That's game manager stats. That's not franchise quarterback stats. If he has 13 touchdowns and 1 pick, okay, then we can talk about it. But he's just not playing bad and giving the Saints a chance to win most of their games. Patriots now 4-2. Saints are 1-5. Should be thinking about the draft and losing as many games as possible. Looking at the Patriots, they're in great shape. They may win this division because their schedule is so easy going forward. Chargers 29, Dolphins 27. Chargers really needed this game after losing to the Giants and the Commanders last 2 weeks. It's tough to play in humid weather, early start for a West Coast team, and missing their top 3 offensive tackles and top 2 running backs. But it helps when you play the Dolphins. Despite all the offensive line injuries, Dolphins only got 1 sack. How is that possible? On this channel, we correctly predicted Kamani Vidal, who was on the practice squad last week, would go over 100 yards. I believe he had 122 yards rushing in this game. We figured he would be the back and got majority of the carries, despite Hassan Haskins being hyped up by the media that he would probably be the guy. Dolphins, Devon Achane continues to have a terrific season, but no one's talking about it because he's on the Dolphins. But he's a really, really good running back. Darren Waller, Jalen Waddle keep playing well, the tight end and wide receiver. The offense for the Dolphins has not really been a problem unless they are committing turnovers. They've moved the ball this year, is the point I'm trying to make. But Tua, when he doesn't turn the ball over, they have a chance to win. He's Tua Tagovailoa. But in this game, he was Tua turn the ball over, and he threw 3 picks, and they lost by 2 points. So when Tua plays bad, they're just very unlikely to win, despite all the injuries to the Chargers. Quentin Johnston was inactive. He had been the Chargers' go-to receiver this year, but it allowed them to finally get Ladd McConkey going, and they need to feature him more. He had a big game. Chargers' run defense has not been good this year. That could be their undoing as we go forward if they get in the playoffs. But neither defense looked very good. Last thing I want to mention, this is so weird. Tua runs his mouth after the game when he shouldn't. He reveals secrets about the team. And you got to keep that in the locker room. Apparently, there was a players-only meeting and some people didn't even show up. Maybe they're checked out on the season. Let's be honest, they're not making the playoffs, but still. That's not good. Having players-only meetings in the first place is bad, but it just goes back to poor leadership by head coach Mike McDaniel. He's not a leader, in my opinion. I watched him on Hard Knocks. I think he's a good offensive mind. And I think he'd be a good offensive coordinator or quarterback coach, but he is not a good head coach, and he won't survive this season. I really thought he'd be the first one fired, but someone else was fired before him. We'll get to that in a second. But Dolphins, focus on the draft. Okay, Colts 31, Cardinals 27. Not going to spend too much time on this game. We're going to go quick, but Kyler Murray was out. Jacoby Brissett got the start and played pretty well. Definitely one of the better backups in the NFL. But the strangest thing about this game was the pregame warm-ups. 2 Colts got hurt, and 1 was sent to the hospital. Charvarius Ward got a concussion when he collided with tight end Drew Ogletree, his own teammate. And then backup quarterback Anthony Richardson was inactive. He fractured a cheekbone with an elastic band in pregame warm-ups. That's crazy. As far as the Cardinals go, Marvin Harrison Jr. got a concussion. That's something to monitor because they really need him against Green Bay next week. And he did not come back. Jonathan Taylor, Tyler Warren, Daniel Jones for the Colts continue to have great seasons. Their offense is amazing, 31 more points. And the Cardinals defense has been playing pretty well this year. So putting up 31 on them is very good. You got to give the Cardinals credit. They could have mailed it in and just got blown out, but they fought and had a chance at the end. There was a no call against Trey McBride that could have been first and goal. Really tough loss. They really needed this after losing the Titans last week to get back to 500. Colts are in great shape. They're at 5-1. And the Cardinals, they're 2-4. Their next 3 games are Packers at home, at Dallas, at Seattle. There's a solid chance they're 2-7, and if you're 2-7, you're pretty much done. I don't think Jonathan Gannon survives this. Raiders 20, Titans 10. We're going to talk more about Brian Callahan on the podcast tonight. Make sure you check it out. Link in the description. 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific with me and Mike. Congrats to the Titans. First of all, for losing this game. You're going to pick higher in April. Sorry, Raiders fans. You will not pick as high. If you win in October, you lose in April. But Geno Smith only threw 1 interception. That's probably why they won. Only 1. So usually he throws like 5 or 6. Okay, not really, but Raiders got 6 sacks on Cam Ward. Titans, their offensive line is so bad. And they were going against Max Crosby. I get it. But the main thing about this game is it cost Brian Callahan his job. He might have been fired last week if they didn't have that miracle victory over the Cardinals. And I think there are 2 things to point out. One, they expected to beat the Raiders because the Raiders aren't very good. And 2, they want to give Mike McCoy a chance. Mike McCoy used to coach the Chargers. He's an offense assistant for this team. They want to see if he can turn around the offense, and maybe he's the head coach next year. That's my theory. Try to keep the same offense. Don't bring a whole new system in with a new head coach. That happens to a lot of rookie quarterbacks. You know, they struggle because you have a rookie quarterback. You're not very good. You picked high in the draft. And they fire the head coach and bring in a whole new coach with a whole new system. And then the rookie spent all offseason learning one system and has to learn another. So my theory is they're hoping Mike McCoy can be the guy and keep the same offense. So Cam Ward doesn't have to learn a whole new one next year. But Brian Callahan, it's tough. Titans have one of the worst rosters in the NFL. He came from Cincinnati. He was the offensive coordinator there. But the Bengals offense, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. So it's going to be a good offense if they're all healthy. So I don't know how good a coach he is. I just know it wasn't working. A lot of it's not his fault because the roster's bad, but we'll talk more about it tonight on the podcast. So, all right. Buccaneers 30, 49ers 19. Rookie 7th rounder Tez Johnson had a big touchdown in this game. If you do not know who he is, he was projected to be a 3rd or 4th round pick. But he's like 155 pounds soaking wet. And he ran a 4.5 instead of a 4.3 like most people thought he'd run. But he was so good at Oregon. His highlights are incredible. Great 7th round pick. Baker Mayfield, another big game. We talked about it. He's probably the favorite for the MVP. He had an amazing 3rd and long scramble. He just refused to go down. He should have been sacked. Breaks a tackle and just keeps fighting. Breaks another tackle and somehow, I think it was 3rd and 16. He should have lost like 8 or 9 in the play and ends up getting it. He's done that a few times this year. But the Buccaneers have won at Seattle, Niners at home, in back-to-back weeks, both 4-2 teams, without Mike Evans and Bucky Irving. Plus, rookie Emeka Egbuka, star rookie, hurt his hamstring and left the game. So really good wins for the Buccaneers. On the Niners side, Mac Jones finally had a bad game. Wasn't horrible, but he threw 2 picks. Anyone saying that Mac Jones is the better quarterback than Brock Purdy, just shut up. Obviously, that's not the case after watching this game. Kendrick Bourne, who they got off the street, another big game, 142 yards receiving. Holy crap, so many teams that need wide receiver help. Why didn't teams sign this guy? Crazy. When the 49ers get everybody back, Ricky Pearsall's back, Juwan Jennings is healthy, George Kittle's back, Brandon Ayuk, they get them all back. God, they have a ton of weapons. This offense could be really good. The biggest problem for the offense, besides the injuries, of course, is they're not really running the ball well. Just like we said with Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey looks slow. He doesn't look the same. He's still catching the ball in the backfield really well, but he's not running like he used to. So the running game is a little concerning. And as far as the 49ers defense goes, we know Nick Bosa is out for the year. He's their best pass rusher. And now Fred Warner, the best middle linebacker in the NFL, is also out for the year. He dislocated his ankle. Your 2 best defensive players are out. Yes, you're 4-2. I think they can make the playoffs, but I don't think they're a contender without those 2 players. Bucks 5-1, Niners 4-2. Packers 27, Bengals 18. Fun stat. Packers have given up 0 points in the first quarter in all 5 games. That's amazing. But Micah Parsons was pretty much held the entire game. I will link one of them in the description where a guy's basically choking him. He was tackled on one play. You could count probably at least 8, maybe 10 plays where he was held. They didn't call. So apparently you're allowed to hold Micah Parsons. That's okay. Now, I get it. The people that argue there's a hold pretty much in every play, there is. And offensive line play's gotten worse. Pass rush has gotten better in the NFL. And you don't want to throw a flag on every single hold. You don't want 18, 20 penalties a game. But it's absolutely ridiculous. It's not just this game. Micah Parsons is being held a ton, and they're not calling it. And when he's tackled or being choked, you have to call it. And on key plays for the Bengals, it was not called. Absolutely ridiculous. Matt LaFleur, the head coach of the Packers, calls the plays. He's atrocious at play calling this year. I don't know what changed. When he had Aaron Rodgers, he was more aggressive. And every year he's gotten more and more conservative. It's like he doesn't want to go for it. He doesn't want to have a big lead. Lots of screens, dump offs, short passes, dink in and dunk it. Those are the plays he's calling. Or second and long. How many runs does he call in second and long? Second and 8, second and 7. Let's just run the ball and get 2 or 3 yards. Almost guaranteed a third down. Why not throw and get the first down? You don't want to keep having third downs. I know they're very good at third downs, one of the best teams in the NFL, but you want to prevent third downs. At least if I'm a play caller. Yeah, you want to run on some second downs. You don't want to throw in all of them, but I can't stand how they get 2 scores ahead and then he gets so conservative. All right, let's not make a mistake. Look, Jordan Love threw a terrible pick in the first quarter of this game. I get it. Should have thrown the ball away. But he's thrown like 2 interceptions the last 13 regular season games. He doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. So why aren't you taking more chances? And you have really good receivers. You have Matthew Golden. Yes, Jaden Reed's hurt. You're going to get him back at some point. But you have Romeo Doubs. You have receivers that can get the ball down the field. You have Tucker Kraft, one of the best tight ends after the catch in the game. And even Tucker Kraft's touchdown was over 20 yards, I believe, but it was a little dump off to him, and he just broke a tackle, and he's so good after the catch. I just don't understand this. And if LaFleur calls plays like this in the playoffs versus a good team, they're not going to win. It's absolutely atrocious. And every single game this year, they've gotten up 2 scores early. Every single one. All 5 of them. And all 5, they've been unable to put the game away. And it cost them the game against the Browns, cost them a tie against the Cowboys. They should be 5-0. But it's almost like he refuses to get a 21 or 24 point lead. No, let's not do that. We're up 10 or 13 or 14. That's enough. We're fine. Nah, just run the ball on second and long, dink and dunk it. If we have to punt, we have to punt. Our defense is fine. It's so stupid. Yeah, I'm grumpy. Now, I know they won 27-18, but they should have won by at least 3 touchdowns. At least. Just horrible play calling. Joe Flacco, much better than Jake Browning. I'll give it that. I thought it was only a slight upgrade. I still think it is in the long term. It might win you 1 or 2 more games at most, but it's not going to be enough. It's still not going to save their season. Flacco and Browning are very different in this way. When in doubt, Browning is going to take a chance and throw it up for grabs to Chase and to Higgins. And Joe Flacco is more than likely to throw it away or check it down. He will throw fewer interceptions. We talked about this. He's thrown 6 this year. At least 2, maybe 3 were not his fault when he was with the Browns. Packers defense, let's talk about them. They were playing great in the first half. And then they went into this kind of soft zone where they were letting Higgins and Chase just catch the ball. That was their defense 2, 3, 4 years ago, and I absolutely hated it. It was this soft zone, give them the underneath stuff. Don't give up the big play. Well, teams were just taking it 6, 7 yards, 8 yards every play. And their defense stunk. And that doesn't work long term. And it's not like they were up 28-0. 28-0, I get it. But they were up 2 scores. And it's like the Bengals weren't moving the ball at all in the first half. And then we go into the soft zone and they let him move the ball down the field. Then, after they started moving the ball, Jeff Hafley decides to call all these blitzes, leaving their corners one-on-one against Chase and Higgins. And Chase burned them. He's the best receiver in the NFL. Of course he did. Keyshawn Nixon got called for a couple penalties on a drive. I get it. He cannot cover Chase one-on-one. He is the best corner on the Packers, but he's more like a number 2 on most teams. He is much better in zone. He cannot cover Chase one-on-one. I don't understand the play calling on both sides for Green Bay. Horribly called games by both coaches. And it's got to improve. Yes, they're a talented team. Yes, they're 3-1-1. But they're not going to win in the playoffs if they call games like this. Because we know the special teams is horrific. And that's going to cost them some points. Just really frustrated by the play calling. It's horrible. And I know some people are going to say, you should be happy. They won by 2 scores. They won by 9. I'm not happy at all. I should have relaxed the whole second half. And it got to be a 1-score game at one point. It was a 6-point game in the fourth quarter. Because the Packers refuse, Matt LaFleur refuses to put teams away. Oh, let's not make a mistake. Ridiculous. One more point I want to make. The Packers have forced 2 turnovers in 5 games. Horrible. Jeff Hafley, yeah, I'm calling you out. Bad play calling this game. You need to force more turnovers. That's ridiculous. 2 turnovers forced with Micah Parsons rushing the passer, getting all those pressures. Of course, he's getting held a lot. Only 2 turnovers forced. The only team that has fewer is the Jets. They're 0-6. They have 1. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay. God, I have so many more notes in this game. Kind of went off on a tangent there. Josh Jacobs had his best game of the year. He had the flu. He was throwing up on the sidelines. Maybe he should get the flu more often. He's actually on pace to have more total yards than last year. He's catching the ball more out of the backfield. But people saying he was having a down year, he's on pace for almost 200 more yards from scrimmage more than last year. Trey Hendrickson left this game with an injury. Boy, short week playing on Thursday against the Steelers. They need him. He's by far their best defensive player. Although DJ Turner did have a good game. He's healthy. Losing him last year really hurt the secondary. He's probably the second best player on that defense. Packers 3-1-1. Bengals 2-4. It's a lost season for the Bengals. Chiefs 30, Lions 17. Okay, 2 big things to talk about in this game. Brian Branch was mad about an illegal block. He talked about being bullied. They were mean to me. It wasn't a legal block. Should have been called on Juju Smith-Schuster. But I'll say this about Brian Branch. They were doing to him on purpose. Sure, they were bullying him. Absolutely they were. But he's one of the dirtiest players in the NFL. He takes cheap shots all the time. So I get why the Chiefs were doing that. So then after the game, he slugs Juju Smith-Schuster in the helmet, refuses to shake Patrick Mahomes' hand. He should just walk off the field. If you're pissed, just leave the field. You don't have to shake hands. And he's suspended for a game for doing it. I thought he should be suspended for at least 3 games or indefinitely. And Brian Branch is a little bitch. And they went after you because you're such a dirty piece of shit. Yeah. Let's talk about the gimmicky play early in the game. Jared Goff lines up in the shotgun, then he goes in motion, catches the ball, almost dropped it. But a good block by Amon-Ra St. Brown, he gets the touchdown. But no penalty called on the play. No penalty called. But apparently New York called into the refs that a quarterback has to reset. If he was in shotgun when he's in motion, he has to set himself for at least a second. But it wasn't like it was reviewed. I've never seen it where they call in New York, oh, wait, you need to call a penalty on that play. If the refs threw the flag, I get it. But that's ridiculous. If that happened to my team, I would be livid. And I don't even like the Lions. I'm a Packer fan, and I was livid. I was livid watching. I was like, what the heck? That should have counted as a touchdown. I get it. If the referee throws the flag, fine. I guess it was a penalty from what I read, but absolutely ridiculous. And look at the team that benefits. Every single time, the Chiefs. Every single time something like this happens, guess who benefits? The Kansas City Chiefs. We talked about it last week. They lost the Jaguars, but there were 2 non-calls that should have been on the Chiefs. One was offensive pass interference, the other was defense. Unbelievable. So the Lions had to settle for a field goal. They did lose by 13, but who knows? It might have been a different game if they get the extra 4 points there. The biggest issue for the Lions is most of the secondary was injured. So Mahomes had a huge game. Of course, I was against him in fantasy. I lost. Still 4-2 in the season, but Mahomes absolutely destroyed me. But big win for the Chiefs. They had to win this game, in my opinion. It's a home game. No, it's not a division opponent, but you have to stay within a game of the Broncos and Chargers because you got to catch two teams to try to win the division, not just one. And the Broncos and Chargers look very good this year. So they go to 3-3. Lions go to 4-2. They're now second place behind the Packers. And they play Tampa this week. Tough game. Can't wait for that one. I believe it's Monday Night Football. Very cool. All right, 2 games left. Monday Night Football games. Falcons 24, Bills 14. Who saw that coming? Holy crap. Drake London had an outstanding game. He had a great contested catch at the goal line. The defender did all he could, but Drake London's just a really good player, and he's big. He's big and he's physical. Bijan Robinson, he's incredible. I think he had 170 yards rushing in this game. They still don't give him enough touches. I know he had 19 carries and 6 catches, but I'd give him 30 touches a game. He's just so good. He's so big. He's so athletic. His change of direction is amazing. He just does not suck at football. He's just so good. But I've said this before. We've said it again a dozen times on this channel. The Bills' defense is vulnerable, especially against the run. The Falcons are up 21-7, have a chance to go up 28-7, and Penix hits Drake London for a long pass. Now, London can do one of two things. He could go for the touchdown and run out of bounds. I love the move to try to score a touchdown. He got knocked out at the 1-yard line, and the half ended. And Falcon fans are like, oh, crap, we could have had it 3 points. It would have been 24-7, 3-score lead. But I get it. Go for the score. He just could not quite get it in. He's just not fast. Drake London has everything you want in a receiver. He just doesn't have speed. Yes, he could have run out, but I love going for it. I love trying to get up 28-7. And the coaches could have told him, just run out of bounds at the 20. But play to win. So they're up 21-7 halftime. But then it got close. The Bills made it 21-14. But Josh Allen, he had a bad pick right before half that almost gave him that touchdown to Drake London. And he had a bad pick at the end. But the Falcons, they have a good defense. They force some turnovers. But their offense still should be better. They should score more points is what I mean. I'm not sure why they're not. The offense, I don't know why it's not doing better than it is. At least as far as points. Especially forcing 2 turnovers. I know they got a field goal blocked. And they got to the 1 right at the half, but even so, they should be scoring more points. The Falcons are one of those teams that can beat anyone and maybe lose to everyone except the Titans. Only the Cardinals can lose to the Titans. But anyway, Bills, they can't win scoring 14 points. The defense isn't good enough. And that's back-to-back games. They've lost a turnover battle, and guess what? They lost both games. They had gone 26 games without losing it. So they're 4-2 now, tied for first with the Patriots on the tiebreaker. Boy, the Bills and Eagles, what happened? What happened to their seasons? Falcons 3-2 and really needed this game to at least keep it close to Tampa Bay. Bears 25, Commanders 24. Seems like the Bears win 25-24 every week. But I'll admit, I did not watch much of the first half of this game. I was really focused on Falcons-Bills because it was the more important game. But I did watch the second half. You know, Commanders, their name was the Redskins, they would have won this game. I think that's the problem. They should go back to Redskins, and calling themselves Commanders cost them this game. Okay. It's funny. When these teams played last year, the Bears absolutely should have won, lost in Hail Mary. Commanders absolutely should have won this game. 3 turnovers to 0. You lose a turnover battle 3-0, it's hard to win. Even against a team like the Bears, it's not very good. But the late fumble cannot happen. I know it's rainy weather, but here's the situation, if you did not watch. Washington's up 24-22 with 3 minutes to go, and they're in Chicago territory. They get one more first down. Not only are they in field goal range, but the Bears probably don't have enough time anyway. But Jaden Daniels just never had it and tries to hand it off to the running back. I'm not sure whose fault it was. Probably Daniels because he never really had it. Running back looked like could have had it, but he was. You look at the line. He just assumed the ball was going to be where it should be, and it wasn't. Bears fall in it, and they go down and kick the game-winning field goal. Just a tough loss for Washington because they had a chance to tie the Eagles for first place. Now they're a game back at 3-3. Bears go to 3-2, and they play the Saints at home this week, so very likely to go 4-2. And I know what you're thinking. Bears 4-2. Okay, maybe they're good. Maybe they can make the playoffs. Well, they started 4-2 last year, and then they became the Bears again. But the Bears, have 2 1-point victories, both 25-24 over Washington and the Las Vegas Raiders. So easily could be 1-4. Easily. So before everyone says, oh, look, Ben Johnson, Coach of the Year. Oh, Caleb Williams, he's MVP. No. How do the Bears only score 25 points against a bad defense, because Washington has a bad defense, where they forced 3 turnovers, and DeAndre Swift had his best game of the year by far. He went off in this game, running and receiving. How do they only score 25 points? I'll tell you. Caleb Williams isn't very good, despite all the weapons. He's just not a good quarterback, no matter what the stats say. Okay, last thing I want to mention. I saw this on X. Baker Mayfield for the Buccaneers is 5-1. The Browns gave up on him. They're 1-5. Daniel Jones is 5-1 for the Colts. Giants gave up on him. They're 2-4. Sam Darnold is 4-2. Jets gave up on him. Jets are 0-6. Stop blaming the talented young quarterbacks. It's the franchises. It really is. Because Mayfield looks amazing. Sam Darnold looks amazing. Daniel Jones looks very good. I'm not willing to say he looks amazing yet. But all 3 are probably top 5 right now for MVP. The point I'm trying to make is, it's about development. They have talent, but teams like the Jets and Browns especially have been terrible at developing quarterbacks. Giants had Eli, Jackson Dart, we'll see. The Giants have been a little bit better than those teams, so I get it. Some franchises are just really bad at it. This is definitely my longest recap video, but there was a lot going on. Thanks for staying to the end. Tonight, Lights Out Podcast, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. We're going to talk more about Brian Callahan firing, what it means. We'll talk about MLB playoffs. We'll talk about manager hirings as well. And, of course, college football. A lot to talk about college football. So make sure you are subscribed. Hit the bell for notification so you never miss one of my videos. Please give me a thumbs up. Really helps out the channel. Comment down below. Who's your MVP of the league right now? What do you think about any of these games? Share this with anyone who loves football as we continue to grow football with cheese. Anyone who loves college football, NFL, and of course, NFL Draft. We big focus on that on this channel in the spring. Check these out if you have not, and I'll see you in the podcast tonight.